Yeah, so I'm here just walking back to my car on the trail. I'm thinking about sometimes the situations that get thrown at us in life, right? Things that we face that can become very hard and tough for a lot of people. And I was thinking the other day about Psalms 23, when it talks about that God prepares a table for us in the presence of our enemies, that He anoints our head with oil, and that our cup overflows. And I was like, man, how is this fitting to the seasons that we go through? And then I got to thinking as I was meditating and kind of working that word, I was able to start thinking on that, you know, when He prepares or arranges a table, when you start thinking about an arrangement, it's a very careful, detailed, oriented type of arrangement. Considering also it's very personal. Yeah, I feel so. I hear some motorcycles over here. Oh, they're gonna be coming this way. So it's an arrangement that He does. But when He arranges a table, for me, when I start thinking about that, it's like, okay, so He's setting it up for us. One thing that I've learned with God is that, you know, what He does is shifts our attention from what is in front of us, which is what we tend to focus on, which is the easy thing to focus on, right? If it's something that is negative, if it's something that is not favorable to you. So anytime that you're going through any of these seasons, you feel like, okay, well, you know, our attention automatically gravitates towards the negative, right? Even if you're an optimistic person. But then when I was really meditating on that portion of the scripture there, when it talks about that He prepares a table for us in the midst and the presence of our enemies, you know, sometimes you don't only have to have external enemies or oppositions or pressures or just chaos. You really sometimes have internal ones that you got to deal with, right? You got internal, you know, disbeliefs. You got internal doubts, questions, all these things that we have to go ahead and kind of like overcome ourselves. And oh, hold on. All right, let's see here. All right, no, we're good. We're good. We're deep in the woods, so. So whenever He's arranging a table, it's something that's very personal. It's something that He's preparing a place for us to be able to, you know, He's hosting. I've noticed that in Psalms 23, there's a transition from a provider in the first few verses, Psalms 23, that you see Him as a provider, as a shepherd, one that's taking care of us, to then now hosting, right? So now He becomes a host when He's preparing the table in the midst and right there in the middle of all those things that are challenges and things that are sometimes against us. But as I do my workouts, I've learned one thing, that, you know, I do a lot of resistance bands, And resistance is a good thing for you, right? Because that's how you develop muscles. You're not going to know yourself and know what you're capable of until you go through situations. So situations are meant to go ahead and basically develop you. Way easier said than done, though, right? But then also one thing I've learned from that portion in the scriptures there, it says that we're able to function from a full place. And that changed my mind right there. That definitely did help me out a lot, because what it did for me is that I'm not working towards something, I'm working from something, right? And that's from a place of identity. I'm telling you, if you're able to capture this will change your life forever. If you're able to work from a place, if I'm measuring myself based on a bank account, if I'm measuring myself based on a situation, on all the externals, then I'm basically, I'm just going to be controlled by the externals. But if I am working from a full place, a guaranteed, right? Well, where is it that guarantee comes from? Well, from a superior, one that is guaranteed. So God spoke a word that I have a full cup. So then now, do I have to feel like I have a full cup? Or do I have to know? Right? Because there's even a difference between believing and knowing. There's people that say, oh, I believe in God. I believe God exists. But then there's people that say, I know that God exists. So there's stages to it. So I think that we're supposed to be working from a place of fullness. So when you're approaching a situation in life and you're saying, hey, regardless of the situation, I have a full place. I'm working from a full capacity, full of resources. Then automatically your mind goes into a place of knowing that you have more than enough. You have what it takes to be able to figure it out, to get to the other side. But it's because, at least for me, it's because of a word that is a promise that has been already set there in place. And that's a place of identity, right? So if we're able to work from a place of true identity, one of the things that I've learned from David, now neuroscience, they talk about this term called emotional regulation, right? Emotional regulation. That's something David was doing that thousands of years ago. That's when you basically pour out your most honest emotions and feelings, and you're very good at trying to kind of like name them and guide them. But then what you do is you regulate them. You just don't pour out all your feelings and everything and just like in a diary, and then from there you just leave as if that's basically it. No, you regulate it, you guide it, you seal it at the end with identity, with who you are. And you see that very, very clearly in the book of Psalms. David will go ahead and pour his heart out. God, what's happening? You've abandoned me. You left me alone, right? I feel like you're treating the others way better than I am. All these things that you just see there. But then he'll go ahead and seal it. But God, you're a God of faithfulness. You're the God of love and care. You're the one that has chosen me. He'll just go ahead and basically start regulating and correcting truth, right? So correcting it, or if not, sealing it with truth, which is the key. That's the key. So then the whole thing is basically not just only venting all your emotions out there, but it's to seal it with identity, right? Like David used to do in the Bible. So that's called true emotional regulation, when you're able to go ahead and bring it to a place of, but this is who I am. This is how I feel. This is the way things are, the reality. But I've always said that there's a difference between reality and truth. right? And if you're holding on and anchoring down to truth, then from there, you're able to go ahead and basically regulate and start changing your reality, right? So I think that identity is one of the biggest missing pieces for a lot of people, right? Because if your identity is wrapped up in success, if your identity is wrapped up in business, if your identity is wrapped up on a bank account, then all that could change. So then now somehow you feel like you lost you when you lose a business, right? When you lose basically your money, when you lose certain things. But when your identity is full, then you're able to work from, you're not working towards, right? So when I had that was a mental shift for me when I understood that I'm able to work towards something. I mean, that I'm able to work from a place of fullness. And anytime, like a human being that I am, I feel drained and I feel overwhelmed, I feel stressed or whatever it is, then there's of course natural things that we could do. But then it's a matter of intentionally reminding yourself of who you really are. Why is it you're here, right? What's your purpose? And then from there, what is it that where is it that I'm going? That's why you want to be able to have clarity on that and then writing those things down. And sometimes you don't have the clarity on that, which is fine. It's fine. You get the clarity in the middle of it, right? You don't have to figure all things out. My philosophy has always been commit first, figure it out later. Things will become way clearer later. If you think about that company, Airbnb, they were completely just not clear on their vision in the beginning. It took them about a year to really become clear on the business model that they had. They became very successful. They didn't figure that out in the beginning. And here we are putting pressure on ourselves to figure these things out so early. It's not the case, man. Stop being so hard on yourself. Sometimes you just got to go ahead and say, you know what do I have in front of me now? What do I have with me now? What is it that I'm able to have? What do I have at my disposal? What are the resources that I have? And resources are not limited to money. Sometimes the resources that you need is just that mental creativity, the current connections that you have, conversations, maybe a book. Nowadays, we have access to everything. So then now the question is, what do you have? What do you have that is at your disposal that you could use that could change your tomorrow? That's the question. That's the way that I'm trying to approach life. Right now, I run a business, and my business has gone through the hardest season this whole year. It's been a very tough year for us. So some people might ask themselves, like, how is it that this guy continues to just pedal away and not just close shop? Well, because I already had a vision for this, and I know that this is just a season, the next thing, and I know that basically there is a way out. Right now, I'm not oblivious to the reality. So then I got to go ahead and make my adjustments. But there was a study that was done that they say that your brain is at the sharpest when you're going through certain situations. That's when you're really, really thinking and trying different things out. That's when creativity comes in. You're either going to fold shop and just go home and say, all right, we're done. Or you're going to say, no, we're going to go ahead and hunker down and we're going to get this thing done. And we're going to figure something out. We're going to think of an innovative way of approaching the situation. Innovation is not limited to electronics. You can have an innovative thought by just reading the title of a book. One little small sentence or a phrase in a book that might just give you an amazing idea for yourself, for your family, for your business, for anything that you're trying to deal with right now, right? So it's just a matter of saying, you know what, I'm going to work from a place of abundance, a place of fullness. I'm not working towards fullness, I'm working from fullness. And that's the mentality, that's the mindset. That's the mindset that I'm working from fullness, and I'm working towards it. And it changes things when you do that, because then now when imagine you're approaching your situations from a place of emptiness, because you're basically matching the external. The externals, there's nothing there, and then you're approaching it the same way. It's not gonna work. You're gonna be giving up, losing sleep, stressing out, and then you're not gonna be one of those that has those amazing stories, right? To be able to talk about one day and say, hey, we went through this. We went through it hard. The reality was there. There was an economical change and shift, but we were able to innovate. We were able to change, adapt. I'll give you a story. I went on an airboat ride with my son, and as we were going on this airboat ride here in Florida, there was a guy that said, he pointed out this bird, and he says there's only I think he said that there was only 30 of those birds left in Florida. There was nothing else. They were just pretty much going extinct. He says, and the reason why is because they continue to build their houses and their nests the same way that they've done it for hundreds of years. But then now things have shifted. So now they're basically exposed, and they're easily prey now. So then now the guy's they're just not adjusting. And he just continued talking, but I seen something different when he said that. Sometimes we become that bird. That we continue doing things the same way that we used to do it before. Don't adapt, don't change. Times have changed, and you're still trying to approach the situation the same way. You're still trying to approach your wife the same way. Still trying to approach the situation, your business the same way. Your own personal self the same way. Your family the same way. As if we're not supposed to be growing. The power of us, and the difference between us and animals, is that we're able to change. You could be someone totally different in the next 60 days. That's the power of people like you and I, right? So it doesn't matter where you are in the world. I've seen people from in places that don't have anything, and they've literally just changed their lives. And it's so inspiring, because sometimes that's all they need, right? And sometimes the worst thing that can happen to you is having success. Sometimes the worst thing that can happen to you and I is having too much success, because it gets us too comfortable. It gets us into a place of basically getting way too comfortable. Now you're just, it's as easy as just spending cash on it. And that's what happens. That's what happens. But when you don't have much, I'm telling you, you have an advantage when you don't have much, because you're going to be able to tap into a creative that people that have too much can't. Of course, money can help things, but there's nothing better than a creative mind that is at its sharpest and that is not allowing themselves to be measured or defined by the seasons that you're facing right now. My advice to you, same advice that I give myself. The advice that I give myself is to work from a full place, not towards a full place. I'm not working towards something, I'm working from something. Just because I don't have it yet doesn't mean that I don't have it yet. If you see what I'm saying. I've already obtained it. Now it's a matter of me physically getting my hands on it. So you could call that manifestation. You could call that whatever you want to call it. But it's a matter of just saying, okay, I've locked on this, and I'm going to keep my target on this. My eyes set on the prize, and I'm going to continue pushing forward towards this, and I'm going to work from a full place, because sometimes, you have oppositions, which is going to be, that's just life, right? Oppositions, things that are not going towards you, things that are not working for you. So you feel like, the world's against you. Maybe you have insecurities. We all have insecurities. Anybody that tells you that they don't have insecurities, they're BSing you. Everybody has issues. Everybody has issues. Just some know how to cover it up better than others. But if you're able to be like, you know what? Yeah, we all have situations in life You know, we all could basically be in a better place. We all could be, you know, liking ourselves a little more. But then what do? We have the power of change. So we start basically just, you know, just adjusting ourselves. There's power in confession as well too, man. I'm telling you. You start saying, I'm working from a full place. That'll be my advice to you. I'm giving you advice that I've given myself and that I do. I'm a practitioner of what I'm telling you. I work from a full place, not an empty place. Regardless of where we're at in life right now, I'm going to approach it with creativity. And if I don't know something, I know that I don't need to know it in order for me to, I don't need to know it right now, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to know it. I can go and get access to information. You know, you don't have to know everything. Sometimes you just got to know where to get the information. And in the age that we're in right now, the time that we're in, you're able to get access to so much information that we can get access to. You know, so I'm telling you, that's my tip for you today. That, you know, you and I were created with capacity, with an abundance. You know, when the Creator created you and I, we were created with fullness. It's just in life, somehow we start basically feeling like we don't have nothing because we're measuring ourselves against external status and whatever it is. But then when we were created with fullness. It's a matter of just us tapping into that and going and serving it into the world, right? So that's us. So that's the beautiful thing of being able to have, you know, to be able to know these things, that you could change things. So like I said before, I work from a full place towards something. I'm not trying to get something that I already have. And that's identity. That's you knowing who you are. And this is taking me years to be able to arrive to that place. You know, so I'm giving you the same advice that I gave myself and the same reminders. If you wonder where I'm at, I'm in the woods. I just got finished working out. So I got my backpack, got my bike. I'm just walking and talking. Walkie-talkie. Here we go, walkie-talkie. So yeah, I'm big on identity. I'm big on knowing who you are and having clarity, you know. So my convictions are based on faith, and I draw from the scriptures, and that's where I draw from. And so I study the scriptures very carefully to be able to go ahead and get truth in my life, and then to be able to regulate and, you know, regulate and bring myself to the proper alignment, right? So that's the thing that people are misaligned in many cases, and you just need a little small alignment for you to fall on timing, you know. So man, there's a lot of steps here. I've seen some bobcat, you know, prints and stuff like that. So all right, well, I'm about to get out of here. Hopefully this was helpful to you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one.